We are gonna spend both today and Thursday on chapter 4. All right. So for chapter 4, we're gonna be talking about a couple of different things about our menu pricing. Okay, how do we actually assign our menu price? What considerations do we take when we're considering what to sell our menu items for? Okay. Um, and those different factors that impact our menu pricing. And then the last half of class today, we're going to kind of do an introduction onto our menu analysis. And then on Thursday, we're actually going to do a menu analysis as a group in class. Okay. So we do have some factors that affect our menu pricing. Some of them are internal, some of them are external. Okay. Our major internal factor that impacts our um, menu, our selling price is the cost that cost us to make it, right? We think about our triangle, whatever the cost is, that's going to impact what we can sell it for based on the percentages. Okay. So that's more on the internal side. The external side, things that we have no control over, okay? Things like competition. Or we also say our market. Okay. So what does the market allow us to charge? Well, the San Antonio market, probably very different from the New York City market. What we can sell items for in New York City probably can't get away with selling that for in San Antonio, right? So the market itself will tell you what you can or cannot, and your competition will tell you. So way back before the pandemic, Pizza Hut came out with a promotion where it was one large pizza for $10. And you could put as many toppings as you wanted on that pizza. Now, when you're on the app and you start putting the toppings on, they're like, hold on, wait a minute, six is enough, right? Don't do more than six. But it was $10 for a large pizza. So what did that do to the competition, like Papa John's or what else is Domino's? What did that do to that competition if now Pizza Hut is selling a large pizza for $10? Okay. And think about what happened to the competition when Little Caesars introduced their hot and ready concept. So back then it used to be $5 hot and ready. It's not $5 anymore. But $5 hot and ready, you just walk in, you get your pepperoni pizza, and you walk out. Okay. Now, nothing to say anything bad about Little Caesars, but when we look at our price and value relationship, the quality of the product compared from Little Caesars to, let's say, Pizza Hut, Domino's, right? A little bit different. Little Caesars is not bad, right? I'll eat Little Caesars any day because it's pizza. But if I want like good pan pizza, am I going to go to Little Caesars or am I going to go to Pizza Hut?
Go to Papa John's.
Okay, Papa John's. I don't know if Papa John's had pan pizza.
I know.
I thought they only had like hand toss.
They're good.
They have? Okay. So, but you see what we're saying? Like the guest is gonna, our guest and our customers' expectations, that price value relationship, we have no control over.
Right.
If I say I'm gonna sell my pizza for $10 and then my costs go up, so I'm gonna say I'm gonna sell it for $15, we may lose some of those people that were only saying paying it because it was $10. Right? So that value relationship, that price value relationship, and it goes both ways. If we change our recipe to maybe more cost-effective ingredients and the quality of our product decreases, people may not want to pay that higher price for that they don't see the quality and the price value relationship. Okay. So we have no control over that. And then the markup differentiation we'll talk about here in just a second. So our external factors, the four, is market-driven pricing, okay? Demand-driven pricing. So when I have a captive audience, meaning that they can't go anywhere else. So if you absolutely have to eat your Whataburger while you watch the Spurs lose at the Frostbank Center, okay? You have to get that. If you absolutely want that Whataburger, you have to get it from the Frostbank Center. You can't leave and then come back with your Whataburger, okay? So prior to the pandemic, I'm not sure if they brought this back, but prior to the pandemic, the Whataburger over here at the then AT&T Center was open for business until 2 o'clock every day. And it was a normal Whataburger. And then after 2 o'clock, they'd close. And if they had an event, sporting event, concert, whatever, then it would shift to event pricing. So they would sell the pricing as if it was your normal Whataburger neighborhood store. But then when the event pricing would go into effect, they would increase that. Same thing with airports. Okay. So if the demand is there and you really want to eat your Whataburger before you get on your flight, you got to get that. You're going to pay the higher price. Okay. So demand pricing, those are external factors that don't really have any control over. We don't have any control over that. Okay. Price value, we already talked about. And then markup differentiation basically means there's a difference in what we can sell our items for as far as the percentages of the markup that we sell. Okay. And a lot of it has to do with the cost of the ingredients. So for example, how much does it cost us to make an iced tea? What do you think?
5 cents.
Okay. So let's call it 10 cents. Okay. 5 to 10 cents. Let's call it 10 cents to make that iced tea. My beverages have a 30 to 90% markup. So if they have a 90% markup, that means they have a 10% food cost or beverage cost. See where I'm going with this? Okay. So if I have 10 cents divided by my 10% food beverage cost, what is my selling price? You use calculators if you want to. It cost me 10 cents, right? I'm looking at my triangle here. So I've got 10 cents as my cost. And I'm going with a 10% beverage cost. So what is my selling? $1, right? Do I sell my sodas for $1?
Yeah. No, you have to mark it up again, right?
No, I mean, yeah, mathematically.
Yeah,
But what do you see the cost for a soda on a menu nowadays?
like $3.
$2.50, $3,
Yeah.
right? So that means our price is going to be even fluctuate even more, okay? As far as our percentage. But now let's take our $45 steak. Let's call it a $25 steak. My $25 steak that cost me the restaurant to buy a steak for $25, divide it by 10%, $250. If we go back to that price value relationship, do people see a price and value, a value with paying $250 for a steak? Probably not. Okay. Okay. So that's where we have this differentiation. So if you've got a 50% markup, then we're looking at selling that steak for $50. You think people would see a price value relationship?
Yes.
Paying $50 instead of. So that's why there's a different category, different percentage range that is kind of appropriate for you to kind of consider. Now, is that the end all be all?
No.
No. Because I know I'm not going to sell that soda for $1. I'm going to sell it for more. I'm going to get more profit off of it. Okay. So Those are the four external. We have four different ways that we're gonna price out our menus. Okay, our recipes. The first way is our food cost percentage. What tool do we use for the food cost percentage method?
Triangle, right?
We use our triangle. Okay. We can figure it out based on the food cost percentage that's given, how much it costs us to make it. We can find out what our selling price should be. Okay.
Does this go under the methods to determine the food selling price?
Let me go to the next page.
Or is this just like an example?
No, it will be on your notes page. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's one of the four methods for number 2.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was writing the right thing, so it would be. What, oh, you're showing us what we write right there right now, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Our
interrupt.
food cost percentage. So we have four different methods that we're going to use to cost out our recipes. The first one is our food cost percentage. I'm not going to do a lot of examples. Why? We've done a lot already this semester.
Yes,
We've already
sir.
gone through a lot of these percentages. We've always used the triangle already, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm not going to do a whole lot of examples with that. The second method is our factor method. Oops. Okay. The second method is our factor method. With the factor method, it's a way for us, especially if our percentages are relatively even, it's a way for us to quickly just multiply the food cost amount. Okay. So to find the factor method, you take 100. Okay. 100%. You divide it by by the percentage that you're looking for. So in this case, 20%. So what is 100 divided by 20%? 100 divided by 20 is
80.
5.
Yeah.
So 100 divided by 20 is 5. My factor is 5. So if something costs me $2 to make it, multiply by 5 is $10. I should sell it for $10. This factor method is really helpful when you have a really even number, okay? Oftentimes you'll hear chefs just say whatever their cost is, multiply it by 3. Give me a factor of 3, okay? That's essentially a 33% food cost. You don't believe me? Take 100, divide by 33.3, and what do you get? 100 divided by 33.3 is 3. So that's triple your food cost. So anytime a chef tells you, take the food cost, take the recipe cost, multiply it by 3, that 3 is a factor, it will give you a 33.3% food cost. Okay? That's a lot easier. Multiplying by 3 is a lot easier than taking your triangle and dividing your cost
Okay.
by 33.3. But essentially, you're doing the exact same thing. Okay? So the factor method, let's do some examples up here on the board. So if my food cost percentage that I'm going for is 25%, what is my factor? 100 divided by 25 is 4. If you look right here on the chart, it already gives you is 4. So what is $2.50 times 4? Sarah, what do you got? 250 times 4. $10. Correct. Okay. 30%. What is my factor? 3.33. So I multiply that by my $3 cost. And what do I get? Angela. $9.99. Nope. You can keep it 9.99. All right. 40%. What is my factor? 2.5. Okay, if you want to figure that out, remember 100 divided by 40 is 2.5. Okay. So that's your answers for number 4. To calculate your factor method, we need to divide 100 by the desired percentage and then multiply the recipe cost by the factor. So what is 15.25 times 2.5? $15.25 times 2.5.
38.125.
Okay. So 38.13, 13 cents. And then the last one, what is our factor for 10%?
2.38.
Said I can have a binder.
Oh, the fact, oh,
What's our factor for 10%?
yeah.
It would be 10.
Yes.
100 divided by 10 is 10. I'm going to multiply 15 cents by 10 and get $1.50. Okay. Now, again, this is one method of 4. You don't have to do everything the same method. You can change things around a little bit. Okay. The next method is our contribution margin. So for contribution margin, the root word is contribute. Contribution, the root word is contribute. So what contributes to our non-food cost and our profit? Okay. So what contributes to our non-food cost and our profit?
Leftovers, was it?
That's what our contribution margin is.
Right, okay, so.
Contribution margin is what
Food cost, right.
contributes to our non-food cost and our profit.
Right.
Okay. So we add those two numbers together, our non-food cost and our profit. And we divide by the number of guests. That is our contribution margin per guest. Okay. So in this example, what is 5,000 plus 3,000?
8,000.
Is 8,000. I have 2,000 guests. Which means my contribution margin per guest is $4. Okay, $8,000 divided by 2,000 guests is $4. So now, if my contribution margin, I just go ahead and add $4 to each one,
Each guest.
each menu recipe
Each
cost.
menu, okay.
Okay,
So, and I think in the thing you were saying, this, you stay consistent and keep doing another.
this is very consistent, right? It takes all of your profit, your non-food costs into consideration. Okay. But if we add these all up together, we get $6.50. We get $7, $19.25, and $4.15. So between the contribution margin and our factor method, which two items have the most drastic difference in price between factor method and contribution margin method? Which one?
Factor.
Well, yeah, so between the factor, the total price, looking at our factors, and the total price for our contribution margin, which item? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Which two items have the most drastically different prices? 3 and
3.
3 and
3.
4.
That's 15.
Look at that, $1.50 compared to $4.15. Cost me 15 cents. We're probably talking about a beverage. So do I sell it for $1.50 or do I sell it for $4.50? 15 cents. Okay.
$1.
What's that?
$1.
Well, mathematically, yes, we should sell it for $1. Okay. But if we look at this, look at again, back at that price value relationship. If we price our iced tea and our sodas at $4.15, how many of our guests are going to buy sodas and tea versus opting out for the free water?
I'd go for the free water.
You go for the free water. How many of you would go? How many of you would pay $4.15 for a soda?
If
Okay.
it's
How about
accompanied by a juicy steak, I will take the soda.
so you're gonna buy the steak and then pay $4.15 for the soda?
No, if the soda comes with the steak.
No, if the soda comes with the steak, I take the soda.
Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying. So you want to package it, and if it comes with it, then yeah, okay. But if it's not with it, you're probably going to opt for the complimentary soda or the complimentary water, right? The free water that comes with it. Not comes with it, but the free water that you get with the meal, okay? So if I do this contribution margin method and my guests don't buy my soda, then I'm losing out on that $4. You see what I'm saying? So not every method is going to be 100% perfect. You have to decide what you think your guests are going to pay and then use that method to find out. Now, this method, somebody over here said, do we round this up to $10? We could, but there's actually psychology behind menu pricing. And I'm a perfect example of this. If I saw that, I'd be like, oh, that's only $9. I know that 99 cents is 1 penny away from $1, but psychologically, I see 9 as my first number, and I'm like, oh, that's only $9. Okay. And so there is psychologically a difference between $9.99 and let's say $10.50. I know it's 51 cents, but if I'm looking at two different items and one's $9.99 and one's $10.50, I may go with the $9.99 one just because I feel like I'm saving money because I think it's only $9. But in reality, it's only a difference of 51 cents. Okay? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense because I'm a marketer's best dream because I'm like, oh, that's only $9. It's no big deal. Okay. But if we look at this, maybe this 15.25 is a steak. Am I going to sell that steak for $19.25 and only get $4 profit off of it? Or am I going to sell it for $38 and make more money off of it? Okay. So you can see that there's different pricing methods. We have price, we have percentage, we have factor, contribution are the three we've talked about so far. Okay. And they yield different types of pricing. We don't necessarily, one way is not always better than the other. Okay. So you want to kind of figure that out for yourself. The last one is our Q factor. Okay. This is the fourth method. Q factor. Q factor essentially is just saying we're going to add up all of these complementary items that come with it. So in Giselle's case, maybe we do have the soda added in as a complementary item. It's built in. It says it comes with it, but it's built into it should be. It should be built into the cost. Okay. If it's not, it's not very good business sense. So the Q factor is all of these complementary items that come with this, right? So for this example, we're talking about a barbecue plate that has brisket. The Q factor is the bread, the starch, the vegetable, the dinner salad, the salad dressing, the butter, and any condiments that come with it. So all of that is cost out and added to the price to give us our total recipe cost. And then we might use the factor method or we might use the percentage method to figure out what we're gonna sell it for. Okay?
Okay, I got a question right quick.
Yep.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding like the the Q factor.
Yep.
So that is like that's all your condiments, like that's all your condiments that you add up to get the price of.
Well, the condiments is included in that, but it's everything that's gonna come with it. So if you say you're gonna order a barbecue plate and it comes with beans and rice and a slice of bread and all your condiments, your onions, pickles, jalapenos, all that stuff, that's everything that's added in already together. Okay?
Okay, because I was just trying to make sure I write it down to I
Yep.
understand it. So it's everything that comes with the meal.
Yes.
Okay.
If you look on your notes page, number 6. The Q factor is everything that is the cost of all those complementary items. So when you go to a Mexican restaurant and they give you a basket of chips, that basket of chips, the cost of those chips and salsa should be built into the cost of the entree that you were purchasing. When you go to the Alamo Cafe and they have fresh tortillas right off the press, the cost of those tortillas should be built into the cost of the entree that you're buying. If not, then they're losing money. Okay? So questions about the Q factor. Think about like what we did last class with the breakfast plate. We had the sausage and the bacon, and then we had the eggs, potato, toast. Did we do that in this class?
No.
Oh, we did not. We skipped it in this class. Okay, we skipped that in this
I
class.
think you brought
I
up the
did.
taco thing.
Yeah, I think we skipped it for time reasons. Because I was planning on talking about it during the Q factor here. Okay, so all those things that come with it. If I have a breakfast plate that has sausage and bacon, they both come with eggs, potatoes, and hash browns and toast. The only difference is the sausage or the bacon, right? And the bacon's more expensive than the sausage. So if I decide I'm going to charge a specific amount, when I'm doing my costing, I'm probably going to use the cost of my bacon plate. Because then every time I sell a sausage plate, I'm making a little bit more money. Same concept here. They're starch and vegetables. When we think about our sides, what is probably our most expensive starch when we think about barbecue? What?
Well, I mean, the bacon is.
We got some sides, right? What sides do we eat with our barbecue?
Mac and cheese,
Mac and cheese.
beans, rice,
Okay, so mac and cheese,
pickles.
starch. Rice is a starch.
Right.
Beans probably go in the vegetables. Okay. I probably want to cost out my plate, my Q factor, using my mac and cheese. Because is mac and cheese more expensive than beans?
Yes.
Yeah, more than likely. So I want to use, when I'm doing a Q factor, I want to use the most expensive starch that I have that people can choose from. I want to use the most expensive vegetable. So I still have to cost everything out and figure out what's the most expensive. That's what I'm going to use in my Q factor. Then that way, every time somebody orders beans, instead of mac and cheese, it's the same price. I'm selling it for the same price, but it's going to cost me a little bit less, which means I get a little bit more profit. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns about Q factor? Or any of the methods that we have talked about. Again, different methods, they yield different results. Okay? That contribution margin method, when you do that, it adds quite a big chunk to something that has a low food cost or beverage cost, like that that 15 cents makes it $4.15 versus those higher ticket items, it only increases by a little bit. Okay. So that one may not be always effective. And then also, can we control if we have 2,000 guests come in or not?
No.
So what happens if we only have 1,000 guests come in? I'm gonna be losing money
Yeah, less profit, yeah.
because I'm basing it on $4 per guest, when in reality, if I only have 1,000, I should be adding $8 per menu item. So you can see that type of method, it might be easy and quick to do, but we always can't guarantee what we're going to be bringing in, okay?
So can you
I
go
have a
back?
question, sir. Oh,
Yep.
Go ahead.
these slides, are they on the modules? Cause it's locked.
Yeah, it had, well,
It's locked on the modules?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll have to take a look and figure out why that is.
but number 5, sir, is to calculate using the contribution margin method, we need to add. the
We need to
cost,
add the non-food cost and the profit,
Right,
and then divide by the number of guests. Now, contribution margin, this could be really effective if you're doing catering. And you know you're gonna be doing a catering for 250 people. You can easily do this contribution margin method in that regard because you know you're gonna do an event for this number of people, okay? But some of them have good uses. Okay, let's talk about the last part of our notes page. This is our menu analysis diagram. So I want you to draw this in that empty space of number 7 on your notes page. Okay. In addition to what you see on the diagram, I also want you to add the words high in the top left and bottom right, and then add the word low in the bottom left corner of the square. So this is a type of tool, type of analysis or diagram that you'll see when you're comparing two different characteristics. And you're gonna put the results into one of 4 categories. So 2 characteristics into one of 4 categories, okay? So I'll give you another minute or so to finish drawing this, and then we're gonna talk about how we read this type of diagram. So as you finish up, the way we read this is we have 2 different categories or characteristics. We have popularity and we have profitability, okay? Profitability is your contribution margin. Profitability is your contribution margin. And then we'll talk about our popularity percentage here in just one moment. If we say something has a high popularity, but it has a low contribution margin, these 2 lines come together at the plow horse. Okay. If something has a high popularity and it has a high contribution margin, these 2 lines come together at our star, which means people love it, it's super popular, and it makes us a lot of money. So it's our star. If something is low profitability, low contribution margin, low popularity, those 2 lines come together at the dog. And then finally, we have high contribution margin, which means it makes us a lot of money, but for some reason, it's not very popular. It's got low popularity. those two come together at the puzzle. Okay. Here we go, the puzzle.
Can you say the one for the horse one more time?
Yep. So plow horse has high popularity. People love it. A lot of people order it, but it has low profitability, low contribution margin, which means people don't, people buy it, but it doesn't make us a lot of money. Okay. And we're going to talk about how we put these into different categories in just a moment. So number 8. Number 8 on your notes page is the contribution margin. Is that difference between the selling price and what it costs us to make it. That's the contribution margin. So whatever we sell it for, we subtract what it costs us to make, and the resulting number is our contribution margin. So if we look right now just at these columns, D, E, and F, okay? My menu price of $7.95. Let's look at our chicken breast dinner. It cost me $2.81 to make it. And so my contribution margin is $5.14. Do we see how that works? Simple subtraction. What I sell it for minus what it cost me to make, that's what's left over. That's my contribution margin. Okay. So I do that for all of my items. And then number 9 on your notes page, we have to find the average. How do you find the average of anything?
Add it all, divide by how
Add them
many?
all up and then divide by
How many?
how many? The number we have, okay? So if we want to find the average, we want to add everything up. We want to add up all of our contribution margins. And then in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 items on our menu. So I'm going to take whatever I get by adding all of these up and divide by 8 items. Okay? I don't know, this is my phone. Maybe it's in my office. Hope it's in my office. All right, someone help me out. We add up all of column F. We add up all of these. What do we get? What's the total dollar amount? We add them all up. So it's 514. Sorry, I'm not sure if you can read it or not. It is kind of small.
51.64.
51.64.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. So I add up all of these numbers. I get $51.64. Okay. Divided by 8, which is the number of items we have on our menu. And what is our total amount? What is our average? 6.45. Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the $6.45. Is $5.14, is that higher or lower than my average of 645? It is lower. Is 664 higher or lower than my average? Higher. It is higher. So now all we're doing is comparing. Is the individual contribution margin dollar amount for the individual item, is it higher or lower than my average? Okay, higher or lower than my average. So if I were to draw my square right here, I've got the star, the plow horse, the dog, and the puzzle. Okay. Which 2 categories might my chicken breast be in? I've got contribution margin, and I've got popularity.
Popularity, I mean, the plow horse.
It could be a plow horse or it could be a dog,
Dog, right?
right? Because right now, we only know that it has a low contribution margin. I don't know the other piece of the puzzle. Okay? Now, I know I know it says that on there that it's a plow horse. We're gonna get to that in just a second. Right? But with just knowing just the contribution margin, if it's a high contribution margin, it's a star or a puzzle. If it's a low contribution margin, it's a plow horse or a dog. We don't know what it is until we figure out the popularity. Okay? Questions about that? Okay, so now let's go back to our popularity. Okay. This is number 10.
Okay, on the last.
Okay. The menu mix or popularity percentage. Those two things are interchangeable. Those two terms, the menu mix or popularity percentage. Those are interchangeable. Okay. It basically tells us how popular an item is on our menu. Okay.
I'm sorry, sir, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so our menu mix or our popularity percentage just basically tells us how popular an item is on our menu. Okay, so to find that, we want to add all of our popularity, all the items that were sold in a particular time period. And what is the universal formula for percentage? Percent equals part over the whole, right? So to find our percentage, we take our part, which is the number that was sold, and divide by the whole number, 4,845. Okay, we're going to divide by that number, and we're going to divide that each one of these by that same number. So we're going to divide every single one by $4,845, or sorry, 45 numbers. That's how many we sold in that particular time period. Okay, part divided by the whole. The whole stays the same. The part is what's going to change. Okay,
So so you put inside number 10, what exactly do we write? I think I got confused.
number 10, the menu mix or the popularity percentage refers to how popular an item is on the menu.
Thank you. Okay. I was hearing, I don't know.
Okay, so then how we find that popularity number is we first have to add up all of the items that we sold to figure out what our whole number is. And then we divide the part by each whole, like the whole number. Each part we divide by the whole number.
What does that translate to on number 11?
We're not there yet.
Oh,
We're not to number 11 yet.
okay.
Okay. So that's how we get this 17.9%. Do we see that?
Yeah.
That's where we get this 5.2%. If you type 253 divided by 4,845 into your calculator, you will get 0.052. Okay. Everyone take at least one of those numbers. I don't care which one it is. Actually, two of them. Everyone do two. Practice two. Just you see the answer. I want you to practice at least two of those numbers. You pick any two numbers, and then you're going to divide those by 4,845 and see if your calculator gives you the same answer as what you see on the screen. Now, in class on Thursday, we're going to do it. I'm going to give you a piece of paper that has all these different numbers. We're going to work it all out together. Okay. But for today, we're just introducing this and how we find out whether it's high or low. Okay. So now let's look at number 11. Now, when we did the contribution margin, we found the average, right? And compared it. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about the popularity benchmark. Okay? When you hear the word benchmark, that simply is just a number that we're going to use to compare other numbers to. That's our benchmark. That's what our goal is, right? So, to find the popularity benchmark, we have to divide the number of items on the menu by that actually should be switched. I'm sorry. You're going to divide 100,
Right, 100, okay.
divide 100 by the number of items on the menu. Okay, so you want to divide 100 by the number of items on our menu. We have 8 on our menu. So what's 100 divided by 8?
12.5.
12.5. So if this represents 100%, and we have 8 items, then the average percentage is 12.5%. You guys see what that says? The average percentage is 12.5. If everybody had the exact same number of items sold, they'd all be 12.5% of the total. That's our average percentage, okay? Now, for whatever reason, I don't know why, our popularity benchmark, now with contribution margin, we'd stop. We're done. That's the average contribution margin. But with popularity, they go one step further, okay? We're going to multiply letter B, number 11, letter B. We're going to multiply by the popularity factor that's provided, okay? So anytime I give you an example, I'm going to give you a popularity factor. I'm going to say something along the lines of, to be considered very popular, that should reach at least 75% of the average popularity, okay? So that factor of 75%, I'm going to multiply my average times that factor that's given, okay? So Jose, what is 12.5 times 0.75?
7.5?
7.5, do we all agree?
Wait, no, I meant,
Is it
93.75.
9.3?
Right. Point, yeah, 9.3.
Yeah, 9.375.
9.375.
Yes, sir.
So we'll say 9.4.
Yep.
Okay. So let's say 9.4%. That is my benchmark. Okay. Remember, contribution margin, we stop at the average. Popularity, for whatever reason, we're going to apply this factor. Now, is chicken 17.9%? Is that higher or lower than 9.4?
Higher.
It is higher. 5.2 is lower than 9.4, right? So the same thing. We're going to compare the individual percentage for each individual item. We're going to compare that to the popularity benchmark. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns about this? So that is how we get to this scenario with, let me do some erasing real quick. So you're not too terribly overwhelmed with stuff on the screen. Okay? So
Too late.
if we, that's why it's being recorded. You can go back and watch it. So if we look right here, our chicken breast has a low contribution margin. Okay, so it has low contribution margin, but it has a high popularity. So that's how we get plow horse. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I like to look at things not line by line, but by the similarity. So if I see low contribution and high popularity,
Right.
I'm going to go down my list, low and high, low and high. Those are my plow horses. So chicken, hamburgers, and cheeseburgers are my plow horses. Okay. Now, My seafood platter, I have high contribution margin, so high contribution margin, but I have low popularity. That is my puzzle. Okay, and that's my only puzzle.
So again, do that again. So that's, you got high popular,
High contribution margin, so I got my dot right here, right? You can take your two fingers. High contribution margin,
right?
low popularity,
Okay.
and then which category do they connect in? With it, which one do they, see how I have like the lines drawn?
Right. Okay.
Where they intersect is in that category,
Okay.
okay?
Like plot horse and puzzle dog, are those like universal terms?
That's like a very good question. I don't know where those terms come from. So they may be universal. I mean, this is the National Restaurant Association that makes this textbook, so I would assume that, but just because the National Restaurant Association says that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be the same. Right? Cause you might have a lot of people who are managers and owners that have never even never opened a textbook, never known anything about this. I actually had a student, his summer internship, he worked for a restaurant in Fredericksburg.
Oh.
And they did not have standardized recipes. So the cooks just made it however they felt like they wanted to make it. Okay. So that was one of the situations where I was like, hey, is David in the back or is Angela in the back today? Because that's gonna make a difference on how my food's gonna come out. Okay. Angela makes it way better than I do. Okay. So he actually spent his summer internship watching the chefs, how they make it to make a standardized recipe. And then how much it cost them to make it, how much they were selling it for. And then he did a whole menu analysis to help them understand. The owner had never, ever even thought about how you analyze your menu to see how productive it is. Because your menu is your tool that you're using to get your items from your kitchen to your guests. And if the recipe is not effective, then, sorry, if the menu is not effective, then you may not be selling things as much as possible. Okay? So
So I want to go back. So where the dogs of low
yeah, so let's talk about this dog for a moment.
Okay.
So we have low contribution margin and we have low popularity. That's our dog.
Right.
So that's gonna be our turkey sandwich, our pork chop, and our meatloaf. Now, just because we have a dog on the menu, does that mean we kick it to the curb and get rid of it? Not unless you're a cat person. Okay, no, we don't get rid of it. There could be a reason why.
Could be a reason.
There could be a reason why it's a dog. What is our star on our menu in this case? It's our steak dinner.
Steak dinner, yeah.
So if someone has the option between steak and meatloaf, it might be, obviously, they're more popular. Steak is more popular. Hamburger is more popular than meatloaf. What are the ingredients in meatloaf? Ground beef,
Yeah.
onions,
Bell pepper,
maybe some bell pepper, maybe some extra spices.
breadcrumbs.
You're like my mom, I put some
tomato.
ketchup on top.
Breadcrumbs.
Yeah, got some breadcrumbs in there. So depending on what our recipe is, we may have to buy extra ingredients to make that. So it may not make sense for us to keep it on our menu. Because if we're buying ingredients and we're not using it, then potentially we would be going our costs would be exceeding what we're actually selling. Okay. But maybe during a certain time of the year, we've got pork chops, for example. How many steaks do you think we're selling during Lent?
None.
Okay, so our popularity of steak is gonna go down during that time of the month or that time of the year. And then maybe our popularity of pork chops goes up. So maybe rather than keep pork chops on our menu all year round, maybe we just keep pork chops on our menu when we know we're gonna sell them. Yes.
Could some items that would be in that category maybe be stuff like kids menu items or?
Yeah,
necessities?
absolutely. We're definitely gonna see that when we do our group activity on Thursday. Some of the kid items are gonna be maybe in the dog category. We don't get rid of them because they're for kids. That's probably one of the reasons why it's not ordered that often. It's not popular. Yes. Sure. The other thing too, We might have things that are like vegetarian related. So if we had like a pasta dish that's vegetarian focused at a steakhouse, well, maybe it's not going to be sold that often, but we're going to control how many portions we make, so we're not overproducing and throwing product away. Okay, so if we're looking at this, sometimes we want to know, is our menu the problem or is our problem operational? Meaning, is our recipe the problem? Is the cost of our ingredients too high, so which means we have to sell it for a higher price? So do we have to reevaluate the operation of how much our recipes cost us? Or is the menu itself the problem? If something's not popular, what's something we could do, or what could be a reason why it's not popular?
Season, advertisement.
Seasonal, the taste of the people, good. How we advertise it. So I grew up, my high school job was working at Chester's Hamburgers. Okay? Anybody eat at Chester's Hamburgers before?
Yeah, not good.
No? Yeah, okay, yes, no. Cool. So Chester's Hamburgers, when I worked there, we had hamburgers, chicken sandwich, and hot dogs. That was it. French fries, onion rings. Now they have wings, now they have salads, now they have ice cream, they have shakes, all this kind of stuff that was not there when I was there. So if somebody has not been to a restaurant or they go all the time, I'm probably gonna always get my green chili cheeseburger. Okay, or my chili cheeseburger. I may not consider onion, or I may not consider wings, or I may not consider something else that's like a fish. I think actually now they have fish, fried fish as well. Okay, or maybe it's just during Lent, I don't know. But if we advertise on the tables, those little flip charts, right? Hey, have you tried our wings before? Oh, I've never tried your wings. I didn't realize you had them. So that's where sometimes on our menu, we might have like a little star next to something. Or if you go to Chili's, they got a little Chili's symbol right next to it, right? What does that little symbol mean?
The star, yeah, star.
It could be a star. Literally, it could be a star. That is designed to draw your attention to that item. So yeah, it could be a star. And it says this is our guest favorite. Is it really the guest favorite?
No.
Or is it a star because it brings you a lot of money and you want to sell a lot of those, right? Has a high markup, has a low food cost percentage. I want to sell a lot of those, right? It could also be a guest favorite. You don't have to be as cynical as I am. Okay, it could be a guest favorite, but you just never really know. And so there is a psychology behind menu analysis and menu design, where you put things on a menu, whether it's at the top, in the middle, on the bottom of a page, whether you put it on the left page versus the right page. Okay, there's so many different ways that we can look at, is the menu our problem? Okay, do we have items on there that nobody wants?
Means it's too big.
Yes, you think about, I think about Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, God, yeah, that's.
Like I think it's up to 19 or 20 pages, spiral bound notebook, 200 items, right? But they have a lot of crossover. So like a grilled chicken can be used in how many different recipes, right? And so they have their menu designed in a way that they will identify what's being sold and what's not being sold, okay? There's some things that fall off the menu. When I had a friend who was the general manager of Chili's downtown the Riverwalk. And she came and spoke to my class one time and she said that Chili's has exactly 100 items on their menu. I don't know if this is true or not anymore. This was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. But she said Chili's always has exactly 100 items on the menu.
Wow.
So if they want to add something, something's got to come off.
Oh.
And so they would do specials to see what's going to sell. And then if it sells, great. If it doesn't sell, then we're not going to add it to our menu. Okay. Hard Rock Cafe has the exact same menu no matter where you go in the world. It's literally the exact same menu. The ribs, the burgers, the whatever it is It's the exact same menu. They only have one difference, and that's every cafe gets to play with the flavors of the region and create their own what they call local legendary burger. So they get to create their own legendary burger for that region. For San Antonio, for a while, it had like jalapeno cream cheese, fried jalapenos, and I can't remember what it is right now, but that's the only difference they can make. Every other menu item is the same, no matter if you go to Hard Rock Cafe in San Antonio or Chicago or London or
Didn't know that.
Barcelona, it's the exact same menu. So that's really interesting because the corporate makes the recipes, gives it out to all of the different cafes. This is what you're going to be selling. So as we make modifications, that could then, if we change our recipe, how many of you have ever been to a place where you love a specific menu item and then you go back one time and it tastes differently?
Yeah, definitely.
Because they've changed the recipe and now maybe it's not a favorite anymore. So if we change our recipe and we do another analysis, it could potentially not be a favorite anymore. Okay. So for Thursday, I am going to change one due date in Canvas. Angela, you came in. Natalie and Alexis. Either one of you come in to not see so. Okay. So in our assignments, we have this popularity benchmark and average contribution margin. Okay. I'm going to change this due date to Thursday at 2 p.m. So before you come to class on Thursday, I want you to have completed this assignment, okay? And I'm going to walk you through here in just a second so you can see. This assignment,
Go to the sign, please.
okay?
Give me a second.
Popularity benchmark, average contribution margin. This is a practice assignment for you to get comfortable with finding that popularity benchmark and finding your average contribution margin. Okay, so it's 12 questions. The last 4 questions are contribution margin questions. So let's do it together. We're gonna do question 12 or 13 together. Okay. So if I add up all of these items, contribution margin, first I have to subtract 1995 minus 574, 1421. Okay. 1421, 22. I'm gonna try this. 1995 minus 574 plus 2285 minus 621 plus 3599 minus 999. I didn't put my seats.
Sir, would it be easier to just add the price menu column and add the recipe cost and then subtract those 2 numbers?
You could, yeah,
Let's see.
Okay.
you could do that.
So,
1664. 3599 minus 999 is 26. And then 851, 1685 minus 851 is 834. Okay, so I add those together, 834 plus 26 plus 1664 plus 1421. Oops. Try it again. 1421 plus 1664 plus 26 plus 834. So my total is 6519. Divide that by how much? Why?
There's 4 items.
I have 4 items. So my average contribution margin is 1629 or 1630. Let me put this in here just.
So the menu price came out, what was your number you came out with?
I came up with 6519 as my total contribution margins. Okay, now this is what I did. Subtract, 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 subtract. You have to find your individual. So I can't remember, maybe was it Giselle? Was it you the one that asked me about adding up the menu price and the recipe cost?
That doesn't work, though.
No. Adding all the menu prices, that column alone, and then subtract that total column from the total column of the recipe cost.
I came up with
Yes.
95.
You could do that, however, once, if you did that, our average is 1630, so yeah, that would be our average. But how would you know if the individual items are higher or lower than the average? Does that make sense? So in this particular problem, you can do that. But you still have to understand that the contribution margin is the menu price minus the recipe cost. Because if you found the average, then you won't know whether the contribution margin, that specific, which was 1421, is higher or lower than the average. So you still have to find the individual contribution margins. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So the
Perfect.
65.19, you multiply it or,
We divide by 4.
okay, and then from there you divide by 4.
Yep. That is number 9 on your notes page. Number 9 on your notes page. Average contribution margin. Okay? So those last 4, just subtract, add all of them up, and then you get the divide by 4.
So on the menu price, you came up 60, I thought it was, I'm coming up with 95.
No, I did the contribution margins.
Okay, all right.
I don't know what the menu prices added up together is.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Because I did individual contribution
Okay.
margins. Okay. All right. Questions about contribution margins. That's 13 through 16. All right, now let's look at the popularity benchmark. Okay.
That's number 10.
So our popularity benchmarks, you'll notice these numbers: 5 appetizers, 6 salad, 15 entrees, and 4 desserts. Those are the same for questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Question 1 is asking the appetizer category. Question 2 is asking the salad category. Question 3 is the entree. Question 4 is the dessert. Okay. So this is just allowing you to practice this method of finding the benchmark. We're going to use 75% as our factor that I've provided. Okay. When you come down to questions 5, 6, 7, 8, these are different numbers and it's a different percentage. Questions 9, 10, 11, and 12 are going to be different numbers and a different percentage. The format is the same. This is where I'm going to work on these together. And of course, this is being recorded. So you can go back and watch this recording if you need to towards the end of the recording. Okay. We take 100, divide by 5, because we're doing appetizers. What's 100 divided by 5? 20. And I'm going to multiply by the percentage that is given. So 20 times 0.75 is 15. I'm going to write 15 right here. Okay. Then we come down here to question number 2. And instead of appetizers, now we're gonna do salads. So 100 divided by 6 is how much?
16.66.
16, okay, so 16.7. That's divided by 100 divided by 6. And I'm gonna multiply it by 0.75. And I'm going to get
12.5.
12.5. So I'm gonna type in 12.5 right here. Okay. Then we scroll down. 15 entrees. So 100, I'm doing color coded. 100 divided by 15 is equal to, Oscar, what'd you get? 100 divided by 15.
Oh,
Use your calculator if you need to.
Six point six six six.
Okay, so 6.67. We're gonna multiply by 0.75. Oscar, go ahead and do the desserts for me while you have your calculator out. We're gonna jump ahead and do 4 desserts, okay? So 100 divided by 15 is 6.67 times 0.75 is
5.0025.
5, okay? And then Oscar, you're gonna do our desserts for us. 100 desserts is 100 divided by 4 is how much?
25.
25, and then we're gonna multiply by 0.75. And we get
18.75.
18.75. Okay. So now we've answered 4 questions, right?
Yes, sir.
5 plus the contribution margin. So we have 4 plus contribution margin. Let's test this and see if we get 5 out of 5, 5 questions correct. Look at that. Our grade is 5, which means we got all those answers correct. Okay, so you're gonna do the same thing with questions 5, 6, 7, 8, but instead these numbers, let me get my highlighter real quick. Instead, these numbers are gonna change, right? The number of category items in the category and your percentage is going to change. So again, this is just practice.
So it's the same thing, just.
Same
the numbers are
process,
different.
changing the numbers. So like I said, this is your practice to get that popularity benchmark, okay? And then your contribution margins. So that is due by 2 o'clock before you come in. That will make our activity a lot easier when we do our activity on Thursday. Thank you all so much. I'll post this recording and as soon as I get it processed. Thanks you all. Have a great day.
Burger.
I hope the chunk is done.